Welcome to another video. So in this video we're going to be going over the Copart car that I bought. So this is the one I picked up, and as you can see it's got some front end damage to it. And this is what we're going to be repairing. So fender hood, there's some internal damage too that we'll get into. So this car is a 2010 that I bought about 5 years ago that had the same sort of damage on the right side of the car, and I repaired it. It's been a good car up until just recently, and the 2010, if you know, the FO1s were famous for the valve guide seals going bad, and they went bad. The car's got 100 and almost 30,000, so it started smoking and burning oil real bad. And then it developed electrical problems, so I can't see it being worth fixing. It's a shame with a car with only 130,000 miles on it, but it is what it is. So I picked up this one, paid $3,400 for it at an auction. It's got 58,000 miles on it. It's a 2014. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the parts off of this one, and we're going to put them on this one. So part of the reason I'm making this video also is you can see that I've noticed there's not a lot of good videos on how to do things, even as simple as change the front bumper cover. So we're going to be going over all that. We're going to do the bumper cover, the hood, the fender, and some of the internal repairs. And I'm going to put the videos separate too. So if you'd like to just see a particular thing, you know, subscribe or go to the channel and you can see them. I also have videos on other repairs for this, the FO1, FO2 BMWs, the airbag pumps, fan motors for the heater, and other videos. If you'd like to see them, be sure to subscribe and check them out. So anyway, the first thing we're going to do is remove the bumper cover to this new one that we have. So let's get to it. Okay, so we jacked it up, took the wheel off. You almost have to do this. Always use jack stands. I had a car fall on a cousin and kill him. It's not a joke. It takes a few extra seconds to stick a jack stand under there. Anyway, I've seen this done where people just take these screws out of the fender well, because there's a couple screws in the bumper cover that you can't get to, and then they pull this back and do it. Well, you can do it that way, but trust me, it's very difficult, and you end up breaking the tabs sometimes, and you can't get all of them back in. So it's better just to take this thing out. It's not that hard. You have to look around. You have these little screws. A 5/16 nut driver on a drill will work. They go up there, and then it splits right at the top. So that's the top. This is the front part, and that's the back part. And take that whole cover out, and then you'll be able to get to the bumper cover and see the bolts. So that's the first thing we're going to do, is take both of those out. Then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so we got the cover out. Right here is the bolt that you can't really get to. If you pull that cover back, you can get to it, but it's really difficult. It doesn't take that much longer to take the cover off, but it's up to you. So anyway, you got the bolt here that's holding the cover on. Then there's one back here. So just look at them, make sure. Then what we got to do, and of course it looks like they started taking this apart probably for insurance reasonings, but there's little star bolts all across the front. You see where the holes are, you take all them loose. Now then you're going to have to take your plastic cover off, your headlight cover, and this part here that just has these little clips that go in them. Just take the clips and you take this cover off, and it will look like this side with nothing on there. So you do the same thing on this side, take those screws out. Of course, this one's broke. And then what you got to do is go underneath Okay, so if you look underneath, it's got the same thing. It's got these little 5/16 screws all across the bottom. Take all those off and we'll just about be free. So we're going to do that, then we'll move on to what's next. Okay, so it should pretty well be loose, but what you have to look for now, you have to be a little careful. There's a plug and we can see it real plain here because there's no headlight. So that's for the parking sensor. So you need to unplug that. And if your car has side camera lights, there'll be a plug on this side. Now you can pull the bumper loose a little bit and get to the plug. This vehicle does not have the side view camera, so it doesn't have that. But yeah, it's pretty much free. And for your information too, if you want to get to the headlight to replace the headlight, you have to go this far. So you have to take the cover off and then you can replace the headlight. So we're going to take that loose and see what we got. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is remove this bumper. So basically you just need to pop out, get your little tool and pop out the clips. I just generally use one of these things, get in there and pop it out. Got 2 bolts. There's back in here, you can't see it, it's smashed. There's a horn. There's one on the other side too. You can see the horn here. So easiest when you get it loose, just unplug the horns. But yeah, so there's just 2 bolts here, 2 bolts there, and we'll get this bumper off and see what's next. Okay, so we're going to get this little front scoop piece off, and all you have to do to remove this is it's got like clips right here, and you just, if you look at it, you just push it on the clips and the whole thing will pull straight out. So we're going to take that off next, and that will give us more room to get the rest of the stuff. Okay, so next thing we need to do is remove these fresh air scoops. So in order to do that, with these cars, they have the oil coolers here. They have one on each side. So we have to remove this piece that catches air, pulls it through your oil cooler. And that just has like 2 star bits up top. And once we do that, we can get to the back there, and there's 1 star bit for your air scoop. So we can see it a little bit better here on this side because this is all destroyed. So we're removing the air scoop to the oil cleaner, and then we're taking this loose right here for our air scoop. Okay, so now we're going to get this front piece off. So what we got is, first thing, we got this brace that goes through it down to here. You can see the bolt there. They're just star bits. So you take that loose and you'll be able to pull it out the top. So 1 on each side. Take those loose. Then there's a couple bolts here, star bit, same thing. And there's 1 here in the side. And there's 1 over here on the side in front of the oil cooler. So you take those loose and that will come off. We'll take this whole front plastic piece off. So when you're doing this too, if something won't come off, something's probably, there's a missing screw or something like that. So just, you know, look around and see what's there. Don't force it. Plastic stuff was just going to break. Unless you don't care, you're replacing it. But anyways, do that and then we'll move on. So everything's loose here. I think it's stuck in because this piece is jammed over. So we're going to take that out. So there's basically just a couple bolts here and a couple holding on trim and stuff like that. And then this section will pull out of the frame. So that's good, you know, because if you have a low impact collision like this was, you know, it just damages this piece and doesn't get into the frame at all. So it makes the car very repairable. So we're going to take that. You just got to take out those 2 big bolts. And the, like I said, a couple of these smaller ones, and it should come right off. We're going to do that next. Okay, so I got it out, but I was going to show you. this piece here, there's actually a screw in the back of it. So I did this once before and it didn't have it, but you can see where that screw would be behind there and you can't get to it. So I just took the like 2 screws out of the hood latch and this whole piece will pull out, and it comes off with your fresh air vent and your fresh air vent right there. So that's out of the way. So you can see this is not damaged at all. So we're all good there. At any rate, next thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this metal thing. It's just a support. So we're going to have to take out these 2 bolts and either loosen or take out the 2 in the back. And then it's got some bolts across the front. And again, on this side, you're going to have to take the 2 rear things out for your hood latch. You don't have to mess with the front ones. And then this metal piece will come off here. So we're going to take care of that next, and then we'll move on. Okay, so there it is, all tore down. We got that top piece off of here. Only thing we have left, there's a couple little brackets here. You can see it's clearly bent. And the oil cooler is dripping oil now, so I'm not going to mess with it until I got the other one off. So we will have to take the other car apart. Anyway, if you're interested, I'm going to break down these videos like how to remove front bumper cover, how to remove the headlight, and how to remove your fender and other things. Plus we have a lot of other videos on these series cars here. Be sure to subscribe and take a look and see what you can find. We're going to get the other car tore down and then we'll see about putting it all back together. But anyway, we need the fender. So the first thing you got to do is you got to take the tire off, and you got to find all the screws here for your air duct, your brake air duct, the screws for your inside fender well, and take all them out, front and back. Now these here, what you do is you need to get a little punch and push those pins through. So when you push those pins through, then you can take something and pry out on these. If you try to just pry out on them, you're going to destroy them. So anyway, yeah, you just got to look for all the screws. If they seam together in the middle, in the top. So the front one comes off first, that's the front one. And then the rear one. Take all that off first. Then you have to remove all this plastic up here. Same thing, it's just got these push pins that you pop out. So we're going to get all the plastic stuff off, and then we're going to move on and see what it takes. It's not that hard, so stay tuned. Okay, so we got the fender well out. You can see there's your washer fluid reservoir. So I'm going to show you something, and here's the thing. This car, like I say, is going to the scrapyard or whatever like that, so I don't care too much, and I'm trying to hurry this along. So the first bolt that you kind of got to look at is right there. Now you can see I've cut the bracket. So what you have to do, I'll explain what you have to do to get to that if you don't want to cut the bracket. So it's got these clips, get them here, that go into your plate here. So what you have to do is you have to go underneath the car. You have to remove the side plastic cover. Then there'll be bolts all along here that are star bit. So you remove those. Then if you pull down on this, you know, you can use a plastic wedge in here if you need a little bit of help. But this will pop off. After you remove all the bolts, you have to remove them all the way down to the rear tire. So, like I said, you know, this one is going to the scrapyard or whatever, so I'm not that worried about it. So the next thing you got to do, if you look all the way in the back there, there's a bolt. So while you're here, you might as well get that one out. Hard to focus on it. But yeah, so you get those 2 bolts out, the front one where I cut it and that back one, and then you got to move up top and you got to take all these bolts out here, okay, all the way back, and then this little rubber piece just comes off. There's one back here. So pull this little rubber piece out and make sure you've got all the bolts out. So another hint when you do stuff like this, especially with the plastic, if you think you got all the bolts out and it won't come loose, there's probably still one in it. You know, just take your time and make sure you take them out so you don't break things up. But we're going to take those top bolts out, and then there's one more place that we're going to move to next. Okay, so like I promised, a couple more bolts. It's like I say, it's really not that difficult. So you have your bumper cover here. And mine, like I said, I hit a deer. So you have the one here, and then there's one more back here. And actually, if you can use a 5/16 on a drill, that's what I do, and those screws will come right out. But your bumper cover is attached to the fender. Then we have one more here. If you open the door, there's one more right, where is it? Right there. Let's see it. Sun's reflecting on everything, so it's a little bit difficult to film, but yeah, so you get that bolt off. If you do like I did and cut, you're going to have some resistance along here because this actually clips in, and sometimes those clips get broke when you take the fender off, and I don't know, you know, how you can replace them, but at any rate, that's how you remove the fender. Okay, so we got the fender loose and everything else loose. One more bolt up here. Let's see if I can show you. It's right back there. Very, very difficult to get to. So I just use a number 10 box wrench, and you can get on it and get it out. Depending on what model, for some reason the newer FO2s are a little bit easier to get to than the FO1s, but at any rate, you got to get that bolt out. So we'll be doing that one, and then we'll get the rest of it done. So there it is, all finished. So the things you kind of look for are your gaps here, and if they're even and it's even here, that's where, you know, maybe the average person can't, but anybody that knows about cars can look at and see that it's not straight. And this came out pretty good. So I didn't plan it, but the color was exactly the same. Now the front, you can see, is a little bit wider there than it is there, but I'm not worried about it too much. And the bumper cover is black. I don't know if you can tell. I'm surprised that the color match is the way it is. So this was replaced. This is original. This is a four-year older car, and I can't tell the difference. So I'm going to repaint the hood again and the bumper cover, because the bumper cover is black, because you can see here that's where I hit the deer, and the other one had dented it a little bit, and I got it straightened out. I just got to sand it, repaint it, but it's all good. So be sure to subscribe and check it out, and we got like tons of videos on this stuff. Thank you for watching. You have a pleasant day.